This is Spoken by Elswith, a Femdom Hypnosis podcast, Season 4. Well, hello there. I have a bit of an announcement for today. I had planned on this very close and intimate, wonderful bondage session that was going to go out onto the podcast. Well, it's still going to go out, but not today. Because in the time I had that going on, I finished a wonderful, and I'm not lying when I say this is actually probably my favorite one so far, of the Sabriel sessions. It's called Every Time is the First Time. Now, I can't put it on the podcast. It's definitely pushing a few too many limits for that. I am going to put a snippet of it here. We'll put that towards the end so you can hear it. And in the show notes, you will find a link that takes you directly to the website so you can download the entire thing from there. Now, in a previous episode, I had talked more about Sabriel, about the inspiration, the name, and so on, and I'd also mentioned the slap. Now, the slap, it still works into this bondage-ish podcast episode, but I'll go ahead and tell you now what the slap is about, just because if you try out this one Sabriel session, you might want to do another one. Now, the slap, it's a story that inverts a piece of erotica that I read years ago. I don't know where. I could find it now, and most likely it's better in my head. You know how those stories tend to go, right? We always make them better as we play them over and over again. But the story, it was about this mistress type talking to a sissy-ish type. There's definitely some corsetry involved. I think she was supposed to be sitting at her dressing table, putting on lipstick in the mirror. Definitely Ruby Woo, even if that's not in the original story. In my imagining, that's what she's doing. And so, in that story, the mistress type somehow oversteps or just triggers the sissy type and earns herself a good hard fucking from her pretty-fied partner. The strong hands, encircling wrists, toes curling, can't keep quiet type of a good hard fucking. You know, the type that romance novels love. Have you read any romance novels? Maybe not. Anyway, that's what happens in the slap. Oh, but I don't want a guy who just loses control, even if it leads to orgasms for me. That is not my thing. I like being in control. So, the slap is actually the trigger. The trigger for a performative version of reckless, animalistic, out of control sex. Because Sabriel, he really does know how to play the part. So there you have it. Now, listen to this bit of Every Time is the First Time, and then go over to the website and make sure you download it. Oh, and of course, give me your feedback. You know who all of those thoughts and feelings belong to, don't you? One of my favorite parts of this entire experience is the shopping trip. I found just the right place to visit. Somewhere inviting, somewhere at least a little respectable, not seedy. We had already enjoyed our pillow talk. already teased all the details out of you, out into the open. So the shopping trip became a grand flirtation, a delectable public foreplay. Though if anyone noticed us, you wouldn't have noticed them. You wanted to touch me. I know that I wanted to touch you, too. To kiss you. My hand would spend so much of that time together roaming from your hip to the top of your thigh, right below your ass. Or stealing a possessive squeeze as I pointed out some outfit or gadget that I thought might be fun to have in my collection. When we finally took the time to choose the harness, we chose it for my comfort, as it should be. And the toy itself was chosen for yours. Something that would feel right and appealed visually. Was it time spent privately researching that meant you could so easily pick something out? From that huge wall of toys, you seemed to know exactly what you wanted. You can remember the sensation of standing there, the package in your hands. Me stood right behind you. You can cast your eye over the display. Take in the array of colors, shapes, textures, and remember the warmth, the excitement, the finality of knowing you had grabbed up just the thing.